We are for the beginning of the Zohar Friday. So I'm going to try a new tack. I'm going to start for the beginning of the Zohar instead of trying to pick out little pieces of the Parsha. The problem with learning the Zohar is that we need a course for serious students, or people who want to be serious students, in the language of the Ari. And this takes place as if we learn a sefer which is called the Yotzes Chaim, which is the most complete version of the notes that Chaim Vital took in the year and a half approximately that the Ari was with him. It's a tremendous amount of volume of work. It's just absolutely amazing, the mental level, the spiritual level that these people were on. So I want to bring you the book that we're learning here. One's part of a set. It looks like it comes out backwards on the screen. I'm not sure why, but this is the Zohar called Matok Midavash. It's the very beginning one. It's the Hagdama of the Zohar. And I'm going to read a little bit of the Zohar, but first, before we start with that, there's a little tefillah, a little prayer, and a kavana, very short, that the Matok Midavash brings that people who study the Zohar say. And it says like this: I already wrote to Lil Mod Sefer Kabbalah Zu. I want to start learning this Sefer Kabbalah. But I want to try to reach Hashem. I want to try to have a little bit of appreciation of His greatness, of His highness. And he calls him Sheyotzri. He is the one who formed me. Ubari created me. Baruch Hu Baruch Shema. May He be blessed. May His name be blessed. Lahasik Godel Malos Tarasa Kedusha, and also to try to penetrate into the depth and the real point of the Torah, this holy Torah, because they lakasher nafshe el sharsha, in order to be able, like Rabbi Nachman is talking about, to find the lost princess that's inside of me. And he says, really, in order to be able to tie my soul with the root of where my soul came from. La'asos bezeh tikunim gedolim. If I'm able to do this, and I'm able to make tremendous fixing and rebuilding in the worlds of the Olamas al Yonim and Kedoshim, the upper worlds that have been messed up. Why do I want to do this? Because I want to bring something sweet to Hashem who created me. I want to make a nachas, he calls it a nachas ruach, a pleasant, a sweet, spiritual scent for me. And he calls this, he says, Yichud, this is also known by the idea of joining yourself with the lost princess within inside of you. It's called the Shem Yichud Kudsha Berichu Ushkinte. It's the Yichud, the joining together and making one of this world and the next. Shechina is metaphor for the physicality of the ultimate spiritual world, which is we're not in the ultimate spiritual world, we're in the lowest possible world, but to join this world with the next one. And then he goes on to say, V'yehi noram Hashem Elokeinu aleinu, may this pleasantness of Hashem be upon us. Ma'aseh yedeinu kolano aleinu, and then the work of His hands, they should form us up and prepare us. Ma'aseh yedeinu kolanehu, and that we could be able to use that to make it work more pleasantly. Now, first I'm going to read the Zohar, and you'll hear what he's saying, and then we're going to read a statement by the Matok Midavash. Now, if you didn't know, the Matok Midavash was written by a man by the name of Daniel Frisch, lived in Yerushalayim, and when he completed his work on the Zohar, he passed away that day. So it doesn't mean that necessarily his work was done. His work was done, and he wasn't needed in this world. If you have the tools to be able to mine this Zohar, you won't believe what it is that he actually has to teach us. And he actually will explain it and put us together with the roots of our souls. So he says, the Zohar says like this: Rabbi Chizkiah began to speak. He writes in parenthesis that there are those who say that's Rebbe Elazar that's talking. So it's part of the Chevra of Rebbe Shimon. Pasuk began to speak, and he quotes a pasuk in Shir Hashirim. He said, "K'shoshana bein hachokim." It's like a rose between the thorns. Man Shoshana, who is this rose, this delicate, sweet rose? Dal Knesset Yisrael. This is the Jewish people, the people of Israel. So he said, Man Shoshana de'ihu bein hachokim. So we find that the rose lives amongst thorns. And if you have roses like I have, then you know the summer could be pretty nasty when you're trying to pick the roses. He says, Izbe summa sumak vehivor. So there are two different types of roses he wants to say. So he's not a scientist. So this is the Rebbe Shimon and the people. You're not speaking science. You have to understand they're speaking in a language of poetry or a metaphor. Is better some kind of a simile, some of the poetic language. So he says there's two different kinds of roses. He's talking again about the Shoshana, which is a metaphor for the Jewish people. And he says there are red ones and there's white ones. Sumak v'chivor, that's the words. Of Knesset Yisrael is ba din v'rachamin. And by us, we have two different sides too. We have the side which is called din, and we understand this is called the Midah of Gevurah. And we have a Midah which is called Rachamim. So he wants to say there that it's a metaphor for red and white, and we'll see how it goes. Ma Shoshana is ba tleiser olim. So the Shoshana has 13 different petals. He counted it. He said that's what it is. So he says, "Of Knesset Yisrael is beit tleiser mechilin derachmin." We have 13 midas or attributes of mercy. They go Hashem, Keil Rachum v'Chanum, Erik Abayim v'Rav Chesed v'Emes, Nosa Chesed Alofim, Nosa Ava v'Pesha v'Chatacha v'Nake. If you count them up, there's 13 there. So he says that these things those who pray the Nusach Svard are Sfardi say this every day in the normal days of the week, and those who are davening Ashkenaz, and you see it during the high holy days, and there's a certain special time in fasts and different times when we say Slichos that you say them also. So he says about them. So we have also, he says, Of Knesset Yisrael is beit tleiser mekilin derachmin. So we have these 13 attributes of mercy. The Sachranim le bekal sitracha, they surround us in every way possible. Of Elokim the Hacham b'shata the Idkar. So this word Elokim that we have in the pasuk, apik tleiser tevin the Sachra the Knesset Yisrael. So the Elokim that comes from this word Hashem Keil Rachum v'Chanim, this God that's bringing this down. He's also surrounding us with these different kinds of mercy and this different kinds of mercy in order to protect us. That's the first pasuk in the Zohar. It's the very first pasuk in the Zohar. The Jewish people are like the rose amidst the thorns. That we have two different kinds of rose. We have one that's red, one that's white. What he wants to say is that it's not that we know they're pink roses, we know there's yellow roses, and I don't know what other colors, there may be blue ones, but that's not his point. His point is that this particular kind of rose, which is the Jewish people, is also dealt with in kindness, and also there's also a difficult time. So one with kindness is white. White is the color of no color, whatever, no din, no judgments, nothing. It's just pure kindness. Red, on the other hand, is the idea of blood. So the red is life of the physicality of this constriction and difficulty. Now let's see how the Matak Midavash starts. 1 second here. He says, Be'ezus Hashem, I'm going to begin to copy some different ideas from different Mefarshim, which are the people who explain it. Biurim, Kalim, I'm going to try to make them the easiest possible understandings. Al Zohar HaKadosh Kadei Sheyeh Muvan LaHarotzim BeKabbalas Hashem. In order for people who want to come near to Hashem, and again, this is going back on her story, this is the people that want to find the lost princess is right here, but you need tools in order to be able to find it. The Tom Nofes Suf Metikus Kedushas Zohar HaKadosh, in order to be able to taste, to get a little taste of the ultimate sweetness, the sweeter than honey sweetness that's inside of the Zohar. V'yihi Hashem Elokeinu imanu. So Hashem should be, whether he prays, that Hashem should be with us. V'yazreinu al davar kavod shemo, so that he should help us in regards to the glory that really pertains to his name. V'yatzalena mishagiyos v'tousim, so that as we try to learn this, it should help us and guard us so that we don't make mistakes in our understanding. So we call mini meksholim, and there's all different kinds of things will get in our way and stop us from learning this. And let whatever I say. Now he's actually bringing this pirush. So it's him talking. And he says, "Let God forgive me for anything that I say, and also help me." So then he says like this. He says, "Hine noda ki kol ma shebara kodesh baruch b'tachtainim," that everything that Hashem created in this lower, in the physical world where we live, So all of them are really a hint, an illusion, a metaphor, trying to find the right word, to try to describe something that is undescribable. But we could use this world in order to, we have different tools, and that's what he wants to bring us. So we could take things, the different words that we have in this world, and we could use them to make comparisons to the next world. Like, for example, he has the concept of white and red. So white is like a tap of water that's wide open and just flowing like crazy, which is what we want, is we want the blessing from Hashem to flow on us. But on the other hand, if it flows too strong, we could drown in it. So therefore, he created another, these are called midos. Midos is measurements. So he created another midah, which is called gevura, which is red. So that's the white and the red. That's a metaphor. So the red, therefore, turns it off. It stops things. It's the concept of blood. Blood, when you spill blood, you're stopping life, or you're threatening life. So therefore, everything has to be done in midah. So we have these. This is a metaphor, just an example of the metaphor. What he's about to say here. So now he wants to bring these metaphors, and he wants to talk about the Jewish people who represent the Shekhinah in this world, and he wants to call it a rose, okay, like a rose. And he says, "Doima the Shoshana Hagashmi." So the Knesset Yisrael, in a spiritual sense, is like a rose. Sheyesh ba beis gevanim lavan ve'edem. It has two colors. One is red, one is white. V'yesh la yud gimel parachim. It has 13 petals. V'yesh la chamesh olim, and it has then 5 leaves underneath the rose itself, which are green, yerokim. Asovim imosol the shamarim hakotzim, that guard it from the thorns which are on the stems. So he says this is a comparison to the Shekhinah. Yesh ba beis hanhagos. So the Shekhinah has 2 different ways that it reels in this world. Chesed, one is called Chesed, and there's another metaphor for this, which is called the right arm. So when you say that Hashem turned to his right, or sometimes it's called the face, Hashem lifted up his face on you. Gevura, that's Chesed. But then there's another one called Gevura, which is also as a metaphor for the left arm. It's a side of Din. And there's different kinds of metaphors that he'll apply to that. Shehem bechinas lavan ve'edom. This is the concept of white and red. Then Mekabelas Yud Gimel Mekabelas Yud Gimel Midas Arachim Me'ima. So it says there are 13 petals. What are the 13 petals? There are 13 different attributes of mercy that the parts of which is above us spiritually shines upon us. Now here in this, when I say us, well, here he's talking about the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is otherworldly. The Shekhinah is not physical, not in any way. Then he gets 5 chesadim, which are particular guards that are called different kinds of chesed. So the chesed is the right shoulder, left shoulder, the middle line, the right leg, the left leg. This is called chesed, gevura, teferes, netzach, and hod. What? But they're called also chesadim. So there are 5 different kinds of chesadim. We'll see later at another place, 5 different kinds of gevuros. This is all the language of the Uri that the Matak Midrash is bringing over here. Now we'll read the first pasuk, as I read the pasuk already, and I'm going to read the Pirush of the Matak Midrash, and that'll be our lesson for today. The Matak Midrash says, Rebbe Chesky Pasuk, so Rebbe Chesky begins to speak. As a pasuk, Bereshis bar Elokim. Now he wants to talk about this pasuk. In the beginning, whatever Bereshis means, and it's a lot to be said about it, that Elokim created. So he writes like this. A good reason. He says, Hatam, She'eskilo Rebbe Shimon, V'talmidav. Rebbe Shimon begins his interpretation of the Talmid of Harbe Pamim B'milas Pasach. So why does he start with the word Pasach? Because by learning that, what he's doing, so I mentioned this in another shir, this is like just what my attempt at a metaphor, is that you're standing in front of a tremendous amount of light, but you can't open it up. It's too overwhelming. So the Rebbe Shimon and his Talmidim are going to open up a doorway for us in order that we could see into it a little bit. So he said the Mala, the Hoya Megalim Sodas, that we're able to reach to reveal secrets. Shema'olam non nisgalo, and that before the time of Rebbe Shimon, nobody knew about these. Well, it's not that they didn't know, but they were never revealed. Lo the Mala, below the Mata, not in upper worlds, not in lower worlds. Rebbe Abraham Galante b'Shem Rumak, so he brings the quote of where he got that idea from. Behiskil v'Arma, so he begins like this, and he says, Gesiv k'Shoshana ben Achokim, Kain Reisi ben Abanos. So he says, I also saw that there was shepherding or herding between the children, the children. The Maman Shoshana was Eza Shoshana Elyona, Bidama Hakaso, the Shoshana Tachtaina. So what is the Shoshana that's up above that we're trying to compare here? This Shoshana. Yeshte Spheros B'Atzilos, it's in the Olam of Atzilos, which is the Atzilos means next to God, it's closest to God. And the Kra Shoshana Shehem Bibino Malchus. There are two different midos there, which he says one is called Bina, and the other one is called Malchus. So this represents the Jewish people. So what is the Jewish people? He says this is Malchus. Kamasha Kosev Rizal is Ki Shoshana Mispar Esther. The word Shoshana is the same gematria as the word Esther. Shehi Malchus the Tzilus. What does Esther represent? So it represents the hidden place. The hidden place is the Malchus of Tzilus. As we're reading in the story of the lost princess, as we're seeing that she's hidden inside of us. She's there, but she's hidden inside of us. Pirush Pasuk Kachu. So this is what he wants to say is the understanding of this Shoshana Bein Achukim. He said, Shoshana Gashmi. So Medis Bein Achukim. So you have in this physical world a rose that lives amidst thorns. Veinu Shavin Kenegdom Klum, and there's nothing really that you could say is like this. Kain Reisi Shehi, so also my beloved one. Shehi HaMalchus, the Tzilus, Omedis Bein Habanos, Shehem Sheva Hechlo Shal Olam Abriya. So then you see the same thing. He says that the lower worlds, the lower world of Bria, is also, she's surrounded by that. So the Shekhinah, so what we said in a previous shir was that the Malchus of the upper parts of is really like the Kesser of the lower parts of. So it has two sides to it. So imagine a rose. Imagine a rose is facing upwards. And what's happening with the rose when it's facing upwards is it's just receiving a tremendous amount of light from the sun that's shining on it. But down below it is another more physical area, an area where there is thorns. This area of thorns is called the Olam Abriya. Ve'enam shavim kenegdam klum. So they're not equal in any way. Mefarish ma Shoshana de'ihu bein achochim, kamosha Shoshana tachtoina. So like we have here, this Shoshana which exists in this world lives amongst thorns. Omed is bein akotzim. It's standing amongst thorns. Is ba'asomak v'kivar yesh bo shnei gvanim edem beloved. There's two colors. Kamo kena shchina kedusha. So the same thing we see in the shchina kedusha. So she has two sides. One side is the right side, one side is the left side. Now here's a fact. This is a lot in this little shtickle Torah here. He says that when there's din, and we want to avoid the dinim, although dinim are a part of the world and they're important for the world, but the kali, that is the forces of illusion, which are not true, they gravitate towards din, because din is complaints, different kinds of problems that we see. Masha ein came bebina, which is not bina. Shehi rak bechinas rachamin. You need a lot of some background in order to be able to understand. This is why I'm thinking about bringing in the courses so we could start talking a little bit more about this. But bina is another partzuv. It's a higher level partzuv. So bina is only rachamin. It's in the level of what we call the rosh. So the Shekhinah is at the very bottom. So he says, Rachamin. Just as we have this lower Shoshana in this world, Yesh ba Gimel, Yud Gimel Alim, Shehem Yud Gimel Pir Shoshana, so it has 13 petals. Kamo Kena Shekhinah, Yesh ba Shlosh Esrei Midos, so that also we have the 13 Midos of Rachamim, הנמשכות מערק אנפין לחוכמה רבשם לבינה. This is a whole course. We could take a whole course here to try to explain, first of all, what is Eric Anpin, and then how it goes from Eric Anpin to another parts of which is called Chochmah, and then from that Chochmah it comes to Bina. Bina mekashetes behem esabas hayikara. So then, what Bina takes these midas of Rachamim, and she adorns, or what is the right word? When she makes makeup, she makes up, or she puts adornment. So it makes adornment. We'll call it adornment for her daughter. For her daughter, who is so precious, which is the Shekhinah. Shehem amisavavos has called the shisha kitzvos zechol, because there are 6 different sides to this Shekhinah, and these 13 midos, which are passed down from the parts of Eric Anpin to the parts of Chochmah to the parts of Bina, which then in turn adorns the Shekhinah with these, in order to guard her, and guards her from the hold of the outside forces, which constantly are criticizing us, constantly telling us that we're bad, constantly telling us that there's no hope for us and there's no God in the world, and probably planting doubts in us, so that they can feed off of the kedusha that we have. Mamtikos is called dinacho l'rachmim, because they take, what do these 13 midos of Rachamim do? They sweeten up all the dinim that are surrounding her. If they can sweeten her up enough, then they can spread sweetness down into the places that these other elements are attacking. So he said, Pirusho Kach. So he says, we can explain it like this. Kach anu roim ma sheme'ez shezachar shenizkar b'Torah b'pam rishona shem Elokim shu habina. Now the word Elokim, there's so much here that you just listen to the shir a few times and try to remember the ideas. So that we have that the Bina is called Elokim. Not always, but let's say that basically that's where Elokim comes from. So Hotzi Yud Gimel Tevos ad Elokim Hasheni, there's another Elokim. It takes out these 13 different words, Hashem, Keil, Racham, Bechanim, etc. And so he says there's 13 words here. Esa Shemayim, Esa Aretz, V'ha'aretz Chaysa Tohu Uvohu, V'choshech Al Pnei Tehom, V'ruach Shehem Keneged Yud Gimel Midas Rachamim. So there's these 13 words are the beginning of the Torah. So that's the way the Torah starts out, and they correspond to the 13 words of the 13 midas of Rachamim. Shechamshicha Bina Lamata, that Bina brings down below. The Saved is a Malchus, so what does she do with these? She surrounds this Malchus, a Hafek has Dinecho, in order to overturn her Dinim, and make them into Rachamim instead of Dinim. And for this way, she's able to guard her from the hold of the Chitzonim. Maybe in the next shir, I'm not sure, we'll just keep going on with the Zohar, and we'll see what we could do with it. May God bless us all. We have a wonderful Shabbos. Enjoy.